Hi there. So, hope everybody's doing good. Um, I was reading through the comments on my last video, and I noticed that quite a lot of you, or at least there was some people who didn't know what these cards were, and it occurred to me it might be useful just to do a quick run through of all those cards. Before I put them away back in the box, quick run through of those cards, what each of them is, what the specs are, when it was developed, the kind of history, a little bit of the history behind them. So let's get into it. This is the first card I ever did. This isn't actually the first card. It's the first. I think it's the third revision of the first card I ever did. It's the TF. I don't even know if it is called the TF. If the TF520 is on it anywhere, but it is the TF520. This one seems to be missing a 3-volt regulator. So this is my very first attempt at a accelerator card, and on the silk screen I actually put accelerator in quote marks because I knew from the beginning this wasn't going to be a massive at least it wasn't going to be the end of the this wasn't going to be the greatest accelerator of all time, and I knew it wasn't really going to accelerate an Amiga. It was an experiment. It was just a platform really for me to learn a bit about the differences between the 020 bus. This is an 020 card with no RAM, and it can go up to about I think the latest versions can go up to 40-50 megahertz, but I don't think the you'll find an 020 with that. So it'll max an 020s, the 68000 020 processor. And the original motivation for all this was because I couldn't find A500 cards cheaply to buy with an IDE interface, and I wanted to start down a development path being able to do that. And it occurred to me that the first thing I needed to do was be able to understand the differences between the 020 bus and the 68000 bus. And so I remember quite clearly I was on holiday in Kos in Greece, and I spent quite a bit of the holiday just reading up on, just because I had time in my head. I wasn't working. I'd been working very hard in Australia that year, and I had time in my head, and I just thought, I'll read up this bus protocol, and I'd read up this bus protocol, and I'll kind of come up with an idea of, I kind of came up with the idea that what if I just map all the signals that are definitely common together, map all the ones I'm not sure about to the CPLD, and then I can kind of worry about the details later. So that's kind of what I did in the first instance as I designed the original card. The original card is around here somewhere. I may dig it out at some point. And there was, and that's what I did. I kind of initially just got this working at 7 megahertz synchronous with the rest of the bus, and then I kind of did a bunch of experiments to get this to run faster, and I learned a lot. I looked at other people's, I suppose I did look a bit at other people's designs, but I wasn't really satisfied with them, and everything that I came up with I didn't really like. So I think at some point I realized that the CPLD here can't be driven from the clock from an Amiga 500 because the clock rise time is too slow. And actually I remember, I'll see if I can remember to link it in the description down below, but I remember at the time asking Dave Jones to do a Schmidt trigger video on what rise times were, and if it kind of ties into roughly the development cycle of this. Would be about October, November 2016, and he fair play to him, he did one straight away. He was like, yeah, I'll lap that up. That's a simple one. I'll do that. So what this does is there's a bunch of bus signals on the 68000 and a bunch of bus signals on the 020. The bus signals are different. This only ever accesses it doesn't have A0, so it only ever accesses word addresses, but it can strobe the high or low byte. This is the 68000, whereas this can set a size and a location and write anything you like. So this guy here has to do a bit of bus translation. It has to translate what this guy's asking to do with what this can do, and if there's any issues, it does a bus error. I think it also has to bus error when you do an FPU access, or it assumes an FPU is there, for example. So yeah, it's pretty simple. It doesn't really accelerate the Amiga very much because there's no fast RAM, but it was a good first stepping stone to moving on to the later cards, which I will come on to in the next video. Hope this one is of some value. Availability, just quickly before I end the video. Availability. I originally sold these as batches of PCBs for people. I think they were between £3 to £5 each. I did a run from GLC PCB, and I would sell a bunch of them, and or maybe actually I think that this one I may have just put on dirty PCBs with like a, for every board you bought on dirty PCBs, I got like a 50-cent thing towards boards on dirty PCBs. I think this was the dirty PCB era for me. So yes, I definitely remember I did all of these designs and built on dirty PCBs, which I've subsequently moved away from, and I'll talk about that again, I suppose, in later videos. But dirty PCBs is where I started out. I think I was able to sort of fund further board development through it that way. I think you can still get that. I think this is still available on dirty PCBs. If not, let me know. But I mean, unless you're really into nostalgia for weird, or just want something to learn on or something, I wouldn't bother with this. This isn't going to give you any performance, but it was an interesting experiment, and I learned a lot about the 68,000 buses, the two different buses, and how to translate between them from this experiment. So yeah, not available anymore, not supported anymore. I think the last release for this I did in 2018, and it was a kind of combined update for all the ones that are no longer supported. But yeah, that's the story of the TF520. It's not even got TF520 written on it anywhere. It was an accelerator in quotes. Yeah, it's the simplest possible accelerator that isn't 68,000 based for the Amiga. And I think the ST guys have got it working on the ST as well, so interesting there. Alright, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one of these. The TF530 is coming up, so I think I might do one of these every day for a week or something. So subscribe and all that sort of stuff if you want to get a notification. Take care, have a good one.